Welcome back to On Assignment for Alignment with your girl, Naima. This week is a very special episode because we are going to be talking about my personal experience with borderline personality disorder. So today I'm going to actually be talking about the 9 criteria to be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Obviously, this podcast episode is not to diagnose you, baby. I am not a mental health professional as far as psychology goes. But I just want to come on here and share my story with the intention of reaching people, especially Black women who may have had suspicions of have borderline personality disorder, and may have dismissed their suspicions for whatever reason. My goal is to use my experience with the 9 symptoms to dispel the shame of experiencing this mental health disorder. I have my borderline personality disorder workbook, okay? I love to do my research and I love to be factual. In this workbook, there's a woman named Betty, and they use storytelling of Betty's story to convey the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. Symptom number 1, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Betty perceived that her boyfriend was abandoning her because he didn't respond to her gift quickly enough, which drove her to break up with him, causing her to feel even more abandoned. She had a history of inappropriate behavior related to feeling abandoned. Before my diagnosis, what this looks like for me is being extremely uncomfortable in major disagreements, and also just wanting to split as soon as I feel like I'm disappointing someone, and just wanting to leave them completely alone. All because they done hit my abandonment wounds. And honestly, when it comes to BPD, that shit hurts. When somebody hits your abandonment wounds, it literally feels like your body is being lit on fire. And if you do not get the hell out of Dodge, you're not going to get near any water anytime soon, and you're going to burn the fuck up, okay? It has always felt like as if I was in a movie and there was a freeze frame and I just completely broke the fourth wall in order to give a monologue. And that monologue would say that I need to get the hell out of here immediately before this person abandons me. And you know how they say, oh, habits die hard. This is one of those habits that died hard as fuck for me. And the thing about it is that these feelings still do come up for me. But now that I am in community with people, and I also have found my tribe, and I'm around, I only share my energy with people who know how to nurture my spirit, and the people that I can do the same for, they hold me accountable. I do too, but I love the fact that my peoples hold me accountable. And it's easier to handle your symptoms and cope better with BPD when you have a community of people who care about your well-being. But the first thing that you have to do is work on yourself, because nobody wants to be in community with people who are abusive and manipulative. Another thing that I did to combat this is exposure therapy. My entire life, I have naturally been attracted to people who come into my life and change me, transform me just by being themselves. And through one of those interactions, I was introduced to the fact that people can leave you. People can abandon you, and I had to expose myself to those thoughts over and over again. It's not going to do anything for me to coddle myself. There's some people that are going to be there forever, and there's some people that's just going to be there for a quick little season, and it's up to you to be able to know the difference. So I exposed myself to the thought that I can be alone. I could be single for the rest of my life. I could not have children. I could not have no friends. Me exposing myself to those type of thoughts allowed me to see that the person that I have to live with for the rest of my life, regardless of who is here, is my motherfucking self, okay? Number 2, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. When Betty met Steven, she was head over heels in love and wanted to talk with him every day, but she broke up with him, referring to him as the devil when he didn't respond quickly enough to her text messages about a gift she left on his doorstep. She'd had similar experiences with 3 previous boyfriends. I was somebody who had struggled with relationship building my entire life, child, whether it's platonic, romantic, familial. Off the bat, I was one of those people that would feel extremely close to people after I first met them. You know how people always talk about, don't worry about the bitches that be coming up to you and want to be your friend, blah, 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 blah. They trying to destiny swap with you, blah, 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 blah. Somebody definitely could perceive me as a motherfucking destiny swapper, okay? Because I was always so quick to call somebody my best friend or like refer to them as family. And then as soon as they did something that I perceived as rejection, I received that as they hate me. It could be something as simple as us being on the phone all day and they like, girl, I got to get off the phone. I got to da 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 da. And me perceiving someone's shift in tone or emotional state as rejection, I automatically equated that to me being a terrible person. So it was just a whole bunch of catastrophizing all at one time. They rejected me. They hate me. They hate me. So that means that I am a terrible person. And that would cause me to grow distant with people or just completely go ghost. And I always did that in the devaluation stage because I felt like if I was to ask them what's wrong with them, that would just set up the scenario for them to not respond to me or for them to tell me that they don't want to be in my life anymore. And my brain would automatically compute that and equate that to me being unlovable, unworthy, undeserving of community. Number 3, identity disturbance. Markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. Betty had difficulty making and keeping friends, as she tended to change the types of people she liked to spend time with, and her views and value changed to match them. I vividly remember being in the 5th grade and there was a girl that moved to Charlotte from Florida. And they were Seventh-day Adventists. I remember telling this girl that I was a damn Seventh-day Adventist. And the thing about it is that I didn't know anything about that damn denomination at all. She would tell me things, and the things that she would say were the things that, you know, I would kind of like catch on to and just kind of like adapt into my real life. But what I had to realize is that I was assimilating to people's lifestyles and beliefs and values because I just wanted a sense of belonging. I'm a cousin's girl. I love my cousins. I was raised with my cousins. If I wasn't with my cousins on my mama's side, I was with my cousins on my daddy's side. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time with my cousins up until the time I was 5. And then when I was five years old, we moved away to California. After we moved away from Baltimore, I did not really process how much of a void that left inside of me because I always enjoyed traveling. I always enjoyed living in new places. Even if there was a little bit of resistance, it wasn't enough resistance to keep me from enjoying a fresh start. I didn't realize how much of a void moving away from my family left in me. And, you know, looking back, I can honestly think about times where I would be around other people in their families and I would want so desperately to be a part of their family because, you know, I feel like, dang, like everybody got a grandma, everybody got their cousins, everybody got blah, 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 blah. And mind you, I had my grandparents and my cousins, but they wasn't up the street for me. Everybody had their grandma up the street, around the corner. I didn't have that. And I do remember vividly having that when I did live in Baltimore. I was a cousin's girl. I always was with my cousins. And that was difficult for me as a child when I did move away from them. But all in all, I was still okay because I enjoyed it. But as an adult, I'm able to process these things and I'm able to realize that, you know, my strong foundation with my family allowed me to place a huge emphasis on quality relationships and friendships as I got older. It took me a long time to learn how to healthily navigate relationships. But one thing that I will say is that I've always had the tenacity and the drive to be able to do so because I understood and I still understand the importance of community and I understand the importance of having a tribe. And one thing I always say is that one thing about me, I always knew I was going to be a boss, you know, and I'm sharing this journey with y'all right now, but I always knew that I was going to be somebody amazing. And I'm going to change some lives around this bitch, okay? And I always have known that successful people, all the successful people that I have studied over the years have all had people that they love and that they trust to support them. I never wanted to make it big and like be this person and like not have a solid people around me. So I always understood the weight of making sure that I was a good person to be in community with in order to receive that back. Going into 30 at 29 years old, I have the most solid friendships, and I have the coolest friendships because these people are just, they're amazing. They amaze me every single day. And I feel sometimes bewildered that I was able to attract these people into my life, because it was always my biggest dream to have a community of people who pour into me, and I don't got a question. And I have that, and I'm grateful. Number 4, impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. For example, spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, and binge eating. When she wasn't in a relationship, Betty searched the internet for her next encounter. She drove recklessly and had 2 DWIs, and she shoplifted if things got too boring. This shows up as something that I have been quite transparent about since showing y'all my journey with starting my company, and that is money. I have always loved to spend a coin, okay? And now I'm actually going to be showing my journey with me putting a halt to that shit and really getting in my bag when it comes to having my finances in order. It does feel good to be on a path where I am continuously increasing my awareness so that I can understand and I can begin to sense when these impulsive feelings are being triggered within me and it making me want to spend. Number 5, transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. Paranoid ideation is being afraid that others are plotting against you, and dissociation is mentally separating from physical or emotional experiences, or both. When under a high degree of stress, Betty often felt detached from her body and the world around her, and reported that she felt like she was a puppet with a stranger working her strings. So they say that BPD is a cousin to schizophrenia, okay? And we experience deep paranoia. For me, paranoia showed up as me thinking that people were harshly judging me when they first came into contact with me. It was literally people that didn't know me at all, from a can of damn paint, people that I was just meeting, or people that I do know, harshly judging me. And the crazy thing about it is that I have always had a reason for feeling like I was being judged harshly, because in my childhood I was being judged harshly by people in my environment that I went to school with, child teachers, okay? Bitches had a lot to say about the motherfucking queen, okay? But it's cool. Especially being a child, having judgment on your appearance and not even on your character is extremely damaging. And I allowed that to fuck with my self-esteem for so long. And in my adulthood, I was like, yeah, no more. I got to fix this. So, I took my ass to therapy. But I allowed people's words to make me feel socially crippled. And oftentimes I either felt invisible or too damn exposed, like people could see my raw, open wound. So I had to learn how to rewire my brain and replace limiting beliefs and challenge limiting beliefs. Is that I am still, because I'm gonna stress it to the end. Healing is not linear and it never ends. And even when I do have limiting beliefs within myself, I'm challenging them. And the thing about it is, paranoia still sneaks up on me, trust me. But I have done enough work to be able to pull coping skills out of my ass and figure it out and deal with these emotions as they come up. And comment down below and let me know if y'all want me to do an episode on how to challenge your limiting beliefs and how to replace them. Number 6, inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Betty had multiple intense arguments and physical altercations with friends, boyfriends, family members, and coworkers. This is a symptom that I've dealt with more as a child. And I want to raise awareness around this symptom because we have so many black girls, young black girls and young black women who are ostracized by their communities, or a disrespectful little girl with a whole lot of mouth who need to stay in a child's place. Whole time, the little girl is hypersensitive and she don't have anybody around her to show her the ropes of how to deal with being a sensitive spirit. It's okay if you are a guardian and a parent and you don't know how to handle a child who has a sensitive soul. That's okay. But what's not okay is intentionally refusing to educate yourself on how to deal with a child who is sensitive and just leaving them out to dry. And I just feel like there are so many adults in the world who just don't take parenting very seriously. And I understand that parenting isn't one size fits all. All children have different needs. And it would behoove you to learn what your child's needs are, because writing them off as defective or as a problem child is a missed opportunity for you to be able to be a better guardian to that child or a better parent to them. Because what we fail to realize as adults, these is our babies. We raising them up. If we want to see what the future look like, we have to look at the children whose lives that we are affecting every single day. That's the future right there. And we are missing opportunities to be better adults and better guides to these children by not understanding that all of them have different needs. And I'm not here to excuse disrespectful behavior, because at the end of the day, I can say that as a little girl, my mouth was crazy and I was dead the fuck wrong. But I'm going to tell y'all something. One thing about me, I actually vividly remember throwing a book bag at a teacher. And you know what I remember about that shit? Being in that office when I was, getting talked to with my mama and them teachers and all of them people, I knew exactly why the fuck I was angry. And I knew exactly why I was acting out. And the thing about it is that children know, we just have to talk to them. And if you find yourself, hitting a wall, you have to understand that as a parent, as a guardian, as a guide, as an elder, as an adult that is caring for these children, we have to be able to take our ego out of guiding children, because, sometimes children do get smart and we do feel like they're a little slick at the lip and they act the fuck out. Okay. And I'm not here excusing bad behavior. I don't condone bad behavior at all. But what I am saying is that we have to be able to drop our ego enough to approach situations differently, because just because you are consistently repeating, let me tell y'all something. When I was young, my mama was consistently repeating the same shit to me all the time. And you know what? I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care, because what my mom was saying wasn't relating to me. I was not picking up what the fuck she was putting down as a child. So it's like, when it comes to children, we have to be able to switch up our approach. Children are going to know that you care by the way that you consistently try to show up for them. So if you constantly showing up for them the same way every single day, saying, for instance, you yelling at them every single day because they're behaving in a way that's not fair, because they ain't been here that long. So they're literally learning from us. Take hold of the wheel in the car and drive this bitch, because kids don't know shit. We are here to teach them. So we have to change our approaches when it comes to making sure that they are able to have a fair chance at life. Number 7, chronic feelings of emptiness. Betty often felt alone, even when she was hooking up or was with a significant other. She'd say, "I'm usually alone in a crowded room." In my experience, this symptom ties back to symptom number 5. Transient, stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. Paranoid ideation is being afraid that others are plotting against you, and dissociating is mentally separating from physical or emotional experiences, or both. I would literally just dissociate because I felt unacknowledged and invisible to people. It was mentally exhausting for a while, but looking back, I realized that all I had to do was just gravitate towards people who see me for who I am. Cultivating community and a tribe, it takes a long time. It takes patience. So this is one of those symptoms that is going to sting for a while, but you just have to challenge yourself to gravitate towards your tribe, and gravitate towards people who are on the same wavelength as you. Check your wavelength by doing different exercising and seeing where you at. I just did that that video on my TikTok about the happiness wheel. See where you at and start from there. I am grateful that I have finally gotten to a space where I can enjoy my own company, and I can also balance that with spending time with my community and my tribe. And in that alone time, I feed my own voids, because those feelings of emptiness, they come from people with borderline personality disorder not being able to feel whole from within without external shit. Yes, with borderline personality disorder, it's very common for us to be quote unquote lover girls, to constantly be in relationships. So it's like a one by one type of thing. You have to pull yourself back from constantly wanting to be in relationships. Then you have to pull yourself back from constantly needing outside validation to make you feel whole. Once you pass that level, you have to reject addictions and other harmful behaviors. And then what you do with that is that you replace it with new things and good things and fun things that help you to fill that empty void from within. Because I want y'all to know that being born with a sensitive soul is difficult. You aren't a bad person for having BPD and getting your needs met and filling your voids with external things. My thing is, you're not a bad person. You didn't choose that life. It's just something. It's just how the cookie crumbled for you. It does not mean that that's how you have to be for the rest of your life. You eventually replace all of the negative external validation with positive external validation. So for me, it would look like me jumping in and out of relationships, me taking down some substances, okay? Weed, alcohol. Child, I tried ecstasy. I had Adderall at a point in time because I was on it, and I was definitely abusing that shit, okay? And then now what it looks like is me pouring energy into my podcast, pouring energy into my painting, seeing my degree right here, seeing my army certificate right here, focusing on my spirituality, making sure that I'm disciplined, implementing structures and systems into my life that help me elevate. And those are the things that make me feel full and fill those voids that make me feel empty inside of my body, So I don't struggle with feelings of emptiness as much anymore. But when I do, I am able to navigate them because I've built different systems in my life that allow me to come back to myself and be okay. Number 8, instability due to a marked reactivity of mood. For example, intense episodic dysphoria, irritability or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. When she wasn't around for her friends, Betty often curled up on her bed and cried or gasped for ways to calm herself and feel connected, such as going on texting sprees or scouring date sites for her next hookup. This is another symptom that I want to emphasize for little black girls. Little black girls who are having difficulties with expressing themselves are often dismissed and ostracized, when in all actuality, these are just human beings who are having difficulties and troubles with regulating themselves through rapidly shifting emotional states, because they are likely unaware that they are hypersensitive, because the world just isn't kind to black women. They're not kind to us, and us being labeled as difficult and angry starts very young. People automatically write us off. And it's so crazy because I remember actually seeing on TikTok a guy, he works with children, and he had a young lady in his class. She was about 11 years old, and she was disrespectful, talking crazy. And I went to the comments and I was so extremely disappointed because all I saw in there was black women talking about how she needs to be put in her place. She gonna be this, she gonna be that. And I actually remember seeing a comment of him saying that she basically cursing this little girl's life, saying that she gonna have a difficult time getting a man. She gonna have a difficult time in the world when she get older. And that is very true. But the thing about it is that we're missing the point that this is a fucking child. Why are we giving up on children so easily and just saying that, oh, your fate is already sealed? That's strange. Because we are the people that are guiding children. Children ain't guiding a motherfucking thing around here. We can listen to them because they are instrument. But baby, who gonna be the adults if we are expecting these children to already have a sealed fate? That isn't fair. We're just sending them out into the world and setting them up. Seeing so many adults put their mouth on her fate was crazy. At the end of the day, children just need patience and real patience. You cannot give up on them. And the last symptom number 9, recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. Betty had a history of self-mutilation, cutting her arms or legs when she was under stress or feeling lonely. She cut her arms after breaking up with Steven. Before I touch on this, I just want to be responsible when I'm speaking on this. That's why I went last with this one, especially when I'm speaking about my experience of self-harm and suicidal ideation, because it is nothing to be sensationalized, and I truly do understand that, and I want to be a responsible person when I'm putting these messages out, especially as somebody who is in school right now to become a life coach. And before I get into this symptom, I just want to say that if you or someone that you do know is experiencing thoughts of suicide or suicidal ideations, I want to encourage you to reach out to 998 to speak with the counselor on the Suicide and Crisis Hotline. When it comes to symptom number 9, I was Betty real bad, especially in my early 20s. Every time I went through a breakup, I felt like my entire world was crashing down and I was not going to be able to live. I was not going to be able to breathe without that person. I felt like they was an extension of me. I felt like they were my soulmate. I felt like if they weren't in my life anymore, I didn't mean anything and I was undeserving and unworthy of all of my dreams. It's interesting because those feelings wouldn't last long at all. And I attempted 3 times. And after all 3 of those times, I felt psychotic because once I got out of that impulsive space of wanting to harm myself, after attempting to harm myself, I got over it. I literally got over it. And one thing I will say is that I am so grateful to be here today. My life has gotten so much better from those times, and I was able to pull myself out of this space of feeling so low about myself and feeling like I wasn't worthy of living if somebody that I was romantically involved with didn't love me back. And I'm grateful to be able to see myself on the other side of that. And I know for a fact that I would never attempt self-harm or suicide again, because I understand my worth and I understand my value, and I do understand that I have a mission and I have to keep going. And I always say that my mission is the thing that keeps me going every single day. And I just think about the fact that had I not been here, I wouldn't be able to see what a beautiful young lady I've blossomed into. And if you are a person out there that is feeling or relating to anything that I am saying about symptom number 9, I want you to know that it gets better. It gets better. And there are tools out here for us to use, but we just have to be willing and capable to receive the coping skills and to use the coping skills in order to elevate our lives. And that it's not over. And there's a plan for all of us. And I don't know. I just pray that me talking about this can reach a Black girl that look like me, anybody out in the world, but especially a little Black girl that looks like me and sees herself in me and can see, you know what, if this woman could get through it, then I know that I can. And that's all I want to be. And that's all I've ever wanted to be. Okay. It's somebody that can be an example and a role model for people to see what it looks like when you don't give up on yourself. I know that this was a heavy episode today, but I do want to leave you guys with the title of this workbook, the Borderline Personality Disorder Workbook, an integrative program to understand and manage your BPD. Step-by-step guide to help you balance emotions, improve relationships, challenge negative beliefs, grow beyond your BPD, and reclaim your life, by Daniel J. Fox, who is a PhD holder. And here it is. I got this book off of Amazon. And it has helped me tremendously, and I'm so grateful that I was able to use it to research for this episode. So comment down below, leave me any feedback. Okay. I love constructive criticism. I'm about to go edit this because I waited way too long, y'all, but it's okay. Grab your book. Okay. And I pray so hard that this episode touches so many people, and that y'all can see that through my life, it is possible for you to really turn shit around for yourself, because I know firsthand that dealing with and living with BPD is extremely difficult, and it can ruin your life, truly. And it feels like a death sentence, but I can tell you that it's not no death sentence, boo. And we got the power to make shit turn around for us. And that's words to neuroscience. So once again, it's your girl, Ayo Naima, and this is On Assignment for Alignment podcast. And thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. And I will see y'all in the next episode.